Is Guardian Games worth it? That right there is the question that I've had a lot of people ask me over the past week, because they wanted to know, is it worth actually playing Destiny again? Is it worth logging in to get anything? It's been about a week now since Guardian Games dropped, and look, the TLDR for most people is probably yeah. It is worth coming for the event. The weapons themselves are actually pretty good, but the motivation to get on just isn't there. So my plan for today's video, my first Destiny video in ages, isn't going to be a breakdown of the questline or anything. It's going to be me trying to convince you why you should get on and play the event. And I'll give you some suggestions to make the grind as efficient as possible, because if you're like me, Destiny doesn't have that much appeal at the moment. So I just want to get in, get the most amount of loot for the least amount of time necessary, and get out. But I'll explain how to get the loot efficiently as the video plays out. The biggest thing, and I have to say this at the start, is always make sure you're wearing the class item, especially if you're someone who has a ton of loadouts. If you use them often, you will forget to re-equip them at least once, and you will miss out on event loot. So in my opinion, just update your loadouts with the event class item. So let's talk about the big reason most people would get on, the guns. We've got 3 new or refurbished guns for the event, and for once, they actually power creep the current sandbox. So there's a little bit of FOMO that Bungie is bringing in, and that's probably not a bad thing for an event that you want people to be playing. The Beacon is the latest rapid-fire fusion rifle found in the energy slot, and this is the most important weapon of the event. We also have Keraunios, or as I like to say it, Keraunios. This is the returning arc tracer rifle from last year, and we have a new kinetic slot spread shot hand cannon called Triple Laureate. So to start off with, the gun that I was most excited for is the Beacon. Now just from looking at the perks on this weapon alone, the Beacon might be the newest, best in slot fusion rifle for PvE. And as far as I'm remembering, or at least just by checking my vault, Zealot's Reward, the rapid-fire fusion rifle from Garden of Salvation, is the current best in slot, with a lot of people using Cartesian coordinate as an alternative. But I think the Beacon will surpass both of them with the right role, especially based on ease of obtaining. If you're not a raider, then the Beacon is definitely worth grabbing. It has 2 really strong perk combos as far as I can see. It can get Overflow and Controlled Burst for solid sustained DPS, or alternatively, it can get Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch. Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch has historically been a fantastic combo, so I don't know why you just wouldn't want this. I can see both of these setups being really good in harder content, but the Origin trait Classy Contender doesn't provide much benefit as far as Origin traits go, especially when it comes to DPS focused weapons. But you could mix and match these perks however you want, honestly. Now, is it worth grinding this if you already have Zealots? I've already mentioned it, but I guess if you always want to have the best in slot, then yes, it is worth getting. But I'd wait to see actual DPS testing to determine if you have to get on for it or not. I was mostly excited to see what the fusion rifle had personally, so as for the other 2 weapons, I don't really care for Triple Laureate, honestly. I'm not a fan of spread shot hand cannons in PvE. The perks look decent though. In the left, we've got Slide Shot, Feeding Frenzy, Subsistence, and Grave Robber, which all help with the reload speed on the gun. But if you want to really lean into the ad clear, then you could go Crystalline Corpse Bloom. And in the right, we have the usual trench barrel and 1-2 punch setup, but what's really interesting is we have Master of Arms and Chaos Reshaped. Both of these could honestly be kind of fun to run around with, but until I get my hands on it and try it myself, I'm not going to recommend it. There's not many weapons outside of the Salvation's Edge raid that have Chaos Reshaped. So if you want to play around with the perk, then definitely try to get your hands on it. And finally, we have the Trace Rifle. I think this could replace some of the Trace Rifles that low man and speedrun players use. The combo of Shoot to Loot and Chain Reaction might be really useful for some of the very niche double special situations. But for the majority of players, I think you'll be more interested in the fact that just Chain Reaction is on the gun. And yes, you heard right, it's a Trace Rifle with Chain Reaction. I have to reiterate that. It's a bit of a weird perk to add on a Trace Rifle, but I'm all for it if it changes up the guns worth running. In the left, I'd go for 4th times the charm because free ammo on any special weapon is always nice, or just rewind rounds if you never want to reload. In the right column, of course, Chain Reaction will be worth keeping your eyes out for, but there's also Killing Tally, Jolting Feedback, and, in some cases, Target Lock. All of these have been solid perks for a long time now, and it's also got Detonator Beam, which often makes trace rifles feel way stronger in harder content. Most people either love or hate trace rifles, and honestly, I think that's a totally fair opinion to have. They never feel great in hard content because they take way too much ammo to kill bulky targets, which is what you want a special weapon to do. It's almost like running a second primary weapon. However, being a special weapon allows them to be extremely useful when loadout swapping from a trace to something better, especially for DPS. Because they have more ammo than most other special weapon types, you can use traces to do mechanics in different activities without needing a primary weapon in that slot. So in my opinion, trace rifles need to bring utility instead of raw damage, and Keraunios definitely brings some useful attributes. Because outside of combat, I think trace rifles are pretty underwhelming, especially in hard content. They don't deal a substantial amount of damage and chew through their ammo really quickly if you lay on the trigger. So you really need to lean into their unique traits, which this trace rifle can do. Arc synergy with jolting feedback, which is always nice, and shoot to loot, which is great for high pressure activities where you need the ammo fast but can't use a primary weapon. So overall, are these guns worth grinding for? Yeah, I guess if you want to try new weapons and keep your vaults as up to date as possible, they definitely are. Now as for what the most efficient way to farm these is, it'll depend on if you're with a team or without a team. If you play each character at least once each week before the weekend, you'll be able to claim the weekly champion reward. And at the time of this video, you've got less than a day to get some credit on each character. Each class will be able to receive rewards at the podium, not just the winning class. So it's definitely worth doing on all three classes for a massive dump of gear at the end of the week. Next up are the PvP and PvE podiums behind EVA. Both sides give a ton of event weapons, with the further ones out giving even more. Now each side is tied to quests sitting in your inventory, vying for supremacy for PvP and shoot to score for PvE. The PvP quest will give you score for collecting friendly and enemy crests in supremacy as well as winning matches. And progress carries over from match to match as well, so just simply grinding away at PvP will eventually complete this quest. Wins give a really big chunk of progress, so ideally focus on that, but I mean, that's stating the obvious for PvP. Shoot to score, on the other hand, will want you to get a platinum score in a single run in any rushdown. This basically means go fast and hit hard. It is a boss fighting event after all. You should focus on getting both of these quests completed before each weekly reset because they will give you a crap ton of event weapons. These quests are account based, so you don't have to complete them on a single character. You can do one activity on each character and see which quest needs to still be progressed. And once you've completed all actions that give you bulk event drops and still want a specific role, then you'll have to focus on farming one of the event activities. PvP matches are definitely the fastest way to grind for the new weapons, but only if you're not sitting in queue for half the time that a match would take. Personally, the wait times have been mixed. Not great, but not terrible. I can do other things while I wait, but if you've only got a limited amount of time to play the game, I'd focus on PvE if the queue times are too long for you. If you decide to go do PvE, there's two options: Rushdown and Rush Remixed. Rushdown has the same selection of 5 bosses each day, but the modifiers will rotate. With the right setup and right portal modifiers, you could finish your boss rush in under 10 minutes, making it a reasonably efficient farm. But on the opposite end of things, if the modifiers are not in your favor, then the run could be really slow and suck. So do one per day. And whether solo or with a team, decide if you like the boss lineup and modifiers for speed, or if you'd prefer to just do a random assortment of bosses from Rush Remixed. Now, because Rushdown sits in the portal, if you're playing with a team, then it's possible to customize the modifiers that you have active, allowing you to put on modifiers like Heavyweight, Grenadier, Brawler, and Surges to make the runs go faster. You should also remember to check out the unique event modifiers too. Underdog is fantastic if your class didn't win the previous day, as second or third place get a pretty sizable damage bonus. The whole ability to customize is really unfortunate for solo players since it turns off matchmaking. But if you're solo and want to farm the event, come join my Discord and just ping the Destiny channel looking for players. I've been looking for an excuse to keep farming this event, so I'll leave the link to that in the description. If the daily modifiers on Rushdown are pretty crap for farming, I recommend just run Rush Remixed. The variation each run will make it a bit more engaging, and you can still change the modifiers however you want. I think it's also worth noting that there are some portal activities in each category that will be marked to drop a bonus event engram. These are not farmable and go away once you've completed the activity. So it can be fun to do these to break up the grind, but they're not repeatable. One thing I will say is I've enjoyed being able to play Rushdown again, both solo and with a team, just to do the boss DPS missions back to back. It's been a decent amount of fun. Now, outside of the event activities, this update has brought nothing else to Destiny. So if you're not interested in playing the event content and doing some boss fights or grinding the new weapons, then there's absolutely no reason to jump into Destiny this week, or any of the next few weeks, honestly. We've got a raid loot refresh happening in June, but that's 3 months away, so you've got a while to wait. So I hope this at least helped you figure out whether you want to get on or not, and I hope it saves you some time. So get out there, have some fun doing whatever you want to do, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.